Budget 2022 will go down in history as the budget that introduces tax on crypto assets, but there wasn't really too much else to speak of when it comes to personal finance. In fact, the omissions were quite significant. Going into Budget 2022, there were hopes of a reduction in tax, or at least the increase in a standard deduction, or maybe a few of the other deductions in the form of ATC, for example, which has stayed stagnant for quite a while. But there were a few changes. They were more operational in nature. The first one had to do with the filing of taxes. If you realize as a taxpayer that there were certain omissions that should have been included in the filing of your taxes, the government has now made a provision to allow you to file an updated return on the payment of additional tax, and this is allowed or will be allowed for up to 2 years from an assessment year. There are a few caveats in which this is not going to be allowed. Those three cases are if it is a return on a loss, the second one is if it has the effect of decreasing the total tax liability, and also if it results in a refund. Now, besides that, there was also a change in the surcharge on LTCG. Now, remember, the surcharge on long-term capital gains tax for all assets will now be capped at 15%. For several assets, it was already at 15%. For unlisted shares, this was not the case. So this was in effect bringing a certain amount of parity to the various assets, and this particularly for those in the absolutely high tax bracket where, for example, people with income of above 5 crore have to pay a surcharge of 37%. The surcharge that they pay on unlisted shares will be capped at 15%. Now, a few other hopes that were that didn't come to pass. In fact, the finance minister avoiding getting into all of that, perhaps because the scope to give freebies was not really there this time around. The standard deduction was a bit of a sore point in that there was a hope that with rising medical expenses and various other factors that there would be an increase under the old tax regime, which provides for 50,000 rupees of a standard deduction. There was also hope that the ATC section would be expanded from the current 1.5 lakhs. And there was also a large expectation for a benefit for housing, which didn't really come to pass. Remember, in the last couple of budgets, there was an extension of the benefit provided for affordable housing, that is, properties that cost up to 40 lakhs. You were allowed to have the interest paid, an additional amount of 1.5 lakh on housing loans, deducted from your taxable income. That was not extended either. So all told, this budget will go down as one that had a significant number of omissions.